Here comes a new challenger.
What's up YouTube? ChallengerTCG is back again with another set review video. This time we're going to be reviewing the body domain. If you haven't seen the previous videos, then go check those out. We have them up on the channel and there's a playlist as well. We're going to be rating these on a scale of 1 to 10. And if you want to do this as well, this tool is available down in the description below in the comments. It was made by one of our Discord members. And it's super cool. So we would like to get more community ratings in there. So check out the link if you're interested. We're going to be starting off with Concentrate. This is a 5 energy spell that says draw 2 at level 6. This costs 2 less. At level 11, this costs 4 less instead. Collin, any thoughts?
Yeah, EXP support and somewhat okay EXP support. It kind of has this weird effect where, again, I think the issue with all of the EXP cards and the mechanic as a whole is it feels very win more, where obviously by design, the quicker that you're able to get to the final level, the quicker you're able to start doing all this crazy nonsense, but it doesn't really have a great catch-up mechanic. I feel like it's really lacking on a card that, I don't know, hypothetically, if you're behind on the curve and that gives you like the catch-up mechanic, which that's even a thing in League, where if you're behind too many levels based on where you should be in the course of the game, then you actually get catch-up EXP. So hopefully that'll be something that will come out in the future. In the meantime, I do think this is the type of card that can help smooth out your draws and get you where you need to for this deck specifically. Obviously, beyond that, 5 costs for a draw 2 is unplayable. So I'll give it like a 4 as a nod to the XP decks. I think you'll maybe play some quantity of this in that deck, but how many is to be determined.
Alex?
Yeah, I'm of the opinion this card is not very good. Even at its like ultimate payoff, like where you get all this EXP, it's like 1 draw 2, which is, I mean, that's great. Don't get me wrong, but that's not whoa. Like I don't know. I already think this. My opinion has been stated in previous videos. I think this mechanic is pretty mid. And I think like something like this, I wish it drew like 3 cards. Like make it like be a serious amount of cards. Let it be like an amount of cards that like kind of moves the needle. You could make it cost more too. Like make it cost 6 and then make it cost 1 at 11. I don't think this card would even be broken at that point. I'm gonna give this card a 3. I just don't think it's very good.
Yeah, I think when I was playing the EXP deck, I found myself wanting draw a lot. So I am gonna test this card a little more. I do think that it's like reasonable that you could just hold on to these throughout parts of the game. Just hold on to like 1 or 2 of these in your hand, get to level 11, and then just start firing them off to fill your hand back up full of gas and start to pop off and actually utilize all your level abilities, because you get to refill your hand with units and they're all +1 and they're all coming in readied. So yeah, I think like there is place for this in the EXP deck. Obviously it's terrible every single other place. Like maybe in limited you might want like a draw 2 if you like can't find anything better, but yeah, I think a 4 is fine for the card. Next up we've got Demacian Diplomat. This is a 2 energy 2 might unit that says when you play me, gain 1 XP.
Almost like a 2 might vanilla. It does do something in its relevant deck, like gain an XP is fine. I don't even know, like, I guess because orange's 2-drops are actually historically so bad, you probably play this in an EXP deck, but you're already in kind of a mid mechanic. I guess this is like fine. It does do something in the late game. You still do gaining XP. Maybe this is overshooting it. I'll give this a 4. I think it's closer to a 3 to be honest, but I think a 4 is fine.
Yeah, I do agree that like kind of that 4 range, it probably will be played in the EXP decks, but comparing it to some of the other 4-drops that we've seen, like the actual good one with Hunt, and if you're at level 6, it draws a card. This card, assuming you're playing it on turn 1, does about the same amount in terms of XP gains as the Hunt would gain you the XP anyways, but doesn't have the ability to draw cards later. But just having an on-play gaining 1 EXP is not too bad for the deck that cares about that. But I still think it's a little bit on the weak side. I think they could have given it a little bit more. But yeah, that's where it's at.
I do agree. I think the card could have been pushed just a little bit more. I have felt like I really did need on-play gain XP, especially like once your opponent starts to build up a reasonable board, then like might be spots where you can't really comfortably swing in, but you still need to be gaining XP, which is where like we mentioned it back in the Calm video, where the deer that just gains 2 on enter was like playable just because you kind of need ways to still gain if you can't get into battlefields. And this guy does the same thing on a 2-drop, so like he's playable. It's just you're not super stoked about it, but yeah, you're just kind of also limited on options for getting XP in your 2-drop slot, so you'll probably play some amount of this. I'll give it a 4. Next up, we've got Dragon Soul Sage for 2 energy. This is a 1-mite unit that has reaction, exhaust, and add an energy. A manadork.
Yeah, our first manadork that we've really seen in the game. I will say that this is much worse than most traditional manadorks from other games, as it functionally only adds like half of an energy. Most games are reliant on 1 energy a turn, and then it's a 1-drop that taps for an additional energy. This is one that is 2 energy and only taps for 1, so equating it to magic terms of like Llanowar Elves and such, this is essentially a half mana dork. That being said, it's typically a little bit more difficult to kill units in base in this game than it is in others. I think its biggest real issue that it's going to run into is that most of our ramp decks that care about this sort of effect right now are going to be like Aurora decks, and obviously Aurora decks cannot play Dragon Soul Sage. We've seen like a cute dragon combo deck that can use this to ramp, but even in those situations, I feel like you're probably just better off playing Aurora if you're ramping, as there's nothing better to be casting in this game, so it doesn't really work for that. I do think this is the type of effect that might be relevant at some point. I just don't think that it's right now. So I'm going to be actually a little bit harsh on this card. I'm going to give it like a... actually, you know what? I'll still give it... I'm between a 5 and a 6. I think I'll give it a 6, only, which is still pretty high for a 2-drop, only because it does something so unique. And the additional thing that it does, which isn't otherwise really possible in the game, is it lets you go over the mana cap, which is something that's been kind of difficult to do, where you're typically stuck at 12 energy and there's nothing you can do to get above 12 energy. This is one way to do that, should there be an effect that you need to do that for in the future. So this is a 6 in terms of like a vacuum. In terms of playability right now, I don't think this card is very playable, and functionally would just be like a 3 or a 4. But I do think at some point this card will be good.
I'm a little more positive. I do also give it a 6, but a good 6, not a bad 6. I think this is, at the very least, this is a body, which is what you need on turn 1. When you need the ramp strategy, you can use it. When you need to conquer to keep up with point tempo, you can do that too, even if it doesn't fight other 2s very well, because it is a 1-mite. It's not a 0-mite, so it can still actually still trade on other 1-miters if you need it to, albeit there's not a lot of those being played, but it can do that. But I think being able to double as a body or a mana dork when it needs to, even in the late game, it's not great, but it is still like a way to sort of ramp up, but it can become a body in the late game if you play it early. Once you don't need to ramp anymore, okay, now it's at least a body that can conquer. I think this is pretty good. This is like the most I could honestly ask for in a 2-drop, like a decent 2-drop at least. Like I'm going to give this card a 6. I think this card's solid. I'm a big fan of this.
I feel like I'm just a tiny bit lower on this card than you guys. Not much lower, but I just am like trying to imagine a world where I want this more than Mobilize, and I just feel like Mobilize is already giving me an extra energy for the rest of the game, except it can't be killed. So like I'm just like I don't know. I just don't know if where I'm gonna play this card. But like, yeah, the fact that it can score points is decent. But like Alex said, it won't trade with anything. It's going to just die after it scores the point. Late game, drawing these feel terrible. Whereas like Mobilize at least has a cantrip function in the late game if you're drawing it. So it's like between a 5 or a 6 for me. I'm probably gonna give it a 5. Next up, we got Gemhan Hunter for 2 energy. This is a 2-mite unit with Hunt, and it has level 6. I have +1 might.
Slightly better than the last one we saw, EXP 2-drop. This one doesn't gain when played, but it can actually gain multiple times. And turn 1 also, if you're playing against a deck that doesn't actually play units turn 1, you do actually get to get the double EXP with this. It does have a slight upside in the late game, which is not much, but it does get +1 might. So it does, like, there is a payoff if this guy does survive for a few turns. He gets slightly bigger. It's certainly better than the last one. By how much, I don't know, but this is probably one that you're almost certainly going to play in this mechanic. Again, don't think mechanic is good, but I think this is better than the last 2-drop we saw. I'm going to give this card a solid 5. Just relative to its mechanic, it seems fine. I don't see this as ever being able to ever see play in a generic orange deck outside of its colors. However, if it for some reason was, I guess it can level itself up. Like, unlikely, but it could. Like, I don't know. This is like, it's a 2 for 2 and it works in its theme, and it's probably the go-to in its theme. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 5.
I think it's about the same as the last guy, which I think I rated that guy a 4, right? So
Yep.
I think I'll give this guy the same as a 4. I think it ends up being about the same most of the time. However, the ETB entering an EXP, like that's the only way to really get EXP outside of the hunt mechanic, or specifically, I guess, Master Yi's signature spell. So I think that part makes it a little bit better for the guy to enter to gain 1, and then the level 6 for like +1 might, like whatever. If that maybe will come up occasionally, but I don't think the difference between a 2 and 3 might is going to be substantial, especially when you already have Yi's ability that's giving everything else +1 too. So I think it's about the same with the old guy, at least with in terms of Yi. I guess out of Poppy, this is could maybe have some additional relevancy, but even then, that's a deck that's spending all of its EXP, so you're never gonna get the level 6. So I don't know. Either way, just kind of a mid 2-drop for the archetype, but one you'll play when you're trying to hunt.
Yeah, it's a 4 for me. I agree. It's about as good as the last guy, but I actually kind of prefer the last guy just slightly in certain spots specifically, because like there are times where like if, especially say I'm going first and say I'm playing into something like Victor or Rek'Sai, I actually would rather just play the guy back in my base and pass, and then play my Yi next turn and pass, than actually have to go in with my hunt guy, because then they run over my hunt guy and then they call the weak my Yi that hasn't hunted yet, and then I'm sick and I like lose the game nearly on the spot. Whereas the other guy can actually like play in the back and I can pass and leave this unit so that my Yi doesn't just die and I can gain the XP that I want next turn. So like there are spots for both. But yeah, this guy's just like a 4. He's all right. Next up, we've got Grim Resolve for 2 energy. This is an action speed spell that says give a friendly unit +3 might this turn. When it wins a combat this turn, gain 2 XP.
Yeah, kind of a above rate plus might buff that we've seen. Well, typically the 2 for we have discipline is like the on rate card to compare it to. So you're getting additional might, which is obviously fantastic, but not quite worth the card draw. Obviously, the card is worth quite a bit out of discipline as it just replaces itself. However, we do get the additional +2 XP, which is quite significant, as you can combine it with like our Yi chosen champion in order to gain 4 EXP when we win a combat now, which can really get significant. You can start getting the ball rolling as soon as you get to that level 6. All your guys get +1 might, and things become a lot more difficult for your opponent. So, yeah, I think this card's good for the XP deck. Obviously, just a action speed +3 is not worth it outside of that, but I'll give it a 5. I think this is a solid reason to play any of the XP decks, and out of Poppy, it functionally is a discipline, except it's +3 because her thing is you spend 3 XP to draw a card, right? So pretty close to doing exactly that, assuming you win the combat.
Alex?
Yeah, I actually like this. I think +3 for 2 is like, that's pretty. It's like on rate, but kind of above rate. Discipline is draw a card, and +2, which is definitely better than this. But as far as like +3 in the XP mechanic goes, like there's even a world where like, how sometimes they make mechanics and like you don't ever really use the mechanics, but they make 2 really good cards in that like archetype, and you just end up playing those 2 cards because they're good on their own. But then sometimes they like synergize with each other a little bit. Like this is kind of where I see this card, where like I actually could see this card being played outside of the EXP mechanic. And then let's say you had like one other good EXP card that like turned on at like 2 EXP or something, where like this card was good on its own, and then you gain the 2 XP, and now it like does something a little extra. I like this card. I think it's solid. I'm Yeah, maybe 6 is a little too much, but I think this card is pretty good. I'm going to give it a 6. I like this card. I think this card could actually see play. Like, compared to Primal Strength costs twice this in a power for pretty much twice the pump. I guess you get 1 extra. Uh, Same thing though, action speed. Like, I think that's like the one thing that like kind of holds this card back for me is it's action, not reaction. So maybe because of that, it should be a 5. Like, you can't use it to act as a pump, and maybe that's where this card is a little bit worse than it actually is.
Yeah, I mean that's where I am at with it. I would personally give it a 5 just because the reaction is a big deal. Like not being able to, they throw the Singu at
Sure.
you or
Yeah, and
the Falling
that's
Star.
reasonable. Maybe.
That's the main reason that I would put it in the 5 camp. But yes, the XP deck wants this. +3 is perfectly reasonable for 2. We've seen people play what was the buff card in order that
All the glory.
Call to Glory. Yeah, we saw people playing Call to Glory and like Victor, where there's no buffs, literally just playing a +3 might buff because like that was good enough. And so yeah, for 2, I think it's pretty good. And obviously in the XP deck, that's where this card is going to shine. Notably, it also says when it wins a combat this turn. It doesn't like specifically say like the next time. It just says when it does. So if you're like in the Kha'Zix deck, even you could like pump up a guy and then like do some purple movement shenanigans to like go to the other side and gain 2 XP again. So yeah, it has some cool uses for the deck. It's definitely one of the better support cards. Next up, we've got Hunter's Machete for 3 energy. This is a gear equipment that equips for a body. It gives you +2 and hunt.
I think this card is terrible. I mean, +2 for 3. I mean, it does only cost the power, which is the standard equip cost, but I don't see. I guess they couldn't make this cost 2 because then it would just be a strictly better Doran's Blade, but like, to cost an extra energy just to have Hunt 1, they should have given this card something more. Like, why don't they give these? They should give like they made the green weapon that does something at a certain level but doesn't give EXP, and then they gave this one that gives XP but doesn't give you something. Like, give this something extra. Have this say like Hunt, and if I have a certain XP like +1, like this card's just a shit weapon. I'm gonna give this card like a 2. I think this card is awful. You pretty much get the same thing with Doran's Blade, and I don't care about the Hunt. Like, this card sucks.
I agree with Alex. This is a solid 2 in my mind. It's a strictly worse Doran's Blade, and Doran's Blade is already not a good card. So the Hunt is just not where you're going to be doing.
This is design fail. Like, this should have just done something. Like, this should have just had like, give it +1 attack when you get to a certain level. Give it +2 attack when you get into certain. Like, just like. Such a flavor fail in my mind.
Yeah, I did try this in the early Hunt deck, and it felt clunky and bad. So, I think equipments are just really good though. Like they did just have that end game of like cascading into just letting all of your things trade on bigger things. But like, I would just probably rather play anything else but this because like the Hunt is just I don't know when I'm ever playing this card because I can't play it on turn 1. On turn 2, I want to play my Yi. Say I'm playing Experience Yi, obviously. But even Kha'Zix and stuff, like, these decks don't want to play this card on 3. And if you're playing this, like, any later than that, then, like, I don't feel that the Hunt 1 is really moving the needle for you all that much. Next up, we've got Kinko Initiate for 3 energy. This is a 3 might unit that says, when you play me, draw 1 if your other units have a total might 5 or more.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of cards that replace themselves, especially if they do it immediately upon entering play, as opposed to the death knell draw ones that we've seen, just because it gives you immediate ability to do so. That being said, having to have a total might of 5 or more is definitely a drawback, but cards like this that can be like a okay turn 1 play as a 3-miter, or later in the game it'll draw a card. These are like my favorite designs, even though I think this one's a little bit on the weaker side. So just because I like the design, I'll give it a 4. I don't know if this card will see much play at all. Maybe it will in the Fiora decks and such, but yeah, it's just a decent body that at least replaces itself. So that part's nice.
I think my issue with this card is this is a card that a go wide deck really wants. It is a cheap unit with on-rate stats that replaces itself. The problem is it's not in a real go wide color. If this was in yellow, I'd be like, wow, this is actually pretty solid. Like, and they even had the grace to give it total might, not a unit with 5 might or more. So all the units just have to total 5 might. So like really, this was like everything a go wide deck wants, I think. And it's unfortunate that it just happens to be in a color where I don't think it really fits. That being said, I do think this is still like a decent unit. My problem is just like this doesn't ever do anything on curve. So again, there has to be some sort of orange go wide strategy that just doesn't exist yet. But I think if there is, this card will be good. I'm going to give it a 5. Actually, I don't know. Cheap cards that replace themselves. It's hard to give these cards low marks, especially when they're on stat. They're on might stats. So
yeah, I'm more in the 5 camp. I think like the fact that it's total might is kind of what pushes it there for me. If it was a mighty unit, I agree it'd probably be a lower rating, but because it's like total might, it's pretty easy to have like a 3 and a 2 in your base, and then this is now just like a 3 for 3 cantrip, which I think is really strong. Next up, we've got Targonian Visionary for 6 energy. This is a 6 might unit that says level 11. I have +4 might.
A 2?
2. Yep, we're all in agreement. It's a vanilla.
Yeah, this
vanilla.
card sucks.
There's nothing to talk about. We've talked about. You've seen these reviews before. It's a 6 for 6 with no power cost that is effectively vanilla, and even when it reaches its true potential, it's still just a vanilla.
Yes, just remember, just remember, chat. Yes, literally at level 11. Yi costs 6 and no power for a 12.
Yes.
Actually a 13 at that point because of your Yi legend ability. So like you could get a 11 or you could get a 13 that eventually can also become hexproof. Like
I'll go a step further. Ferris Forerunner, you get this for 1 power effectively. Just for
that has
1
nothing
power.
To do with
Yes.
True.
I'll go. No, this was just an opportunity for me to complain about Ferris Forerunner.
Oh, as usual.
Yeah.
Such cases.
Next up, we've got Towering Combatant for 4 energy. This is a 3 might unit that has shield 2 and tank.
Yeah, you basically covered it when you said this is a 4 energy for a 3 might unit too. I don't know.
2. I'll give it a 3. I'll actually give this one a 3 just because this does block for 5, and it does have tank.
And it does have tank.
So like,
all right.
Yeah, it's a 3. Like, it's not that bad. Like,
sure, a 3 is fine, I suppose. For
it still
3,
dies to Falling Star, but yes.
I'm glad we're
so does everything else.
We'll give it a 3.
Our rate to set any percent is we're catching back up. We just we got 2 big time saves here, so
yeah, vanillas I can only spend so much time ranting about. Pack filler is pack filler.
Speaking of vanillas,
the voracious
it's gonna be 2 guys.
The Voracious Gromp is not a 2. The Voracious Gromp, 5 for 5, hunt 3.
2.
That's crazy.
It's a 5 for 5, dog. Like, what
there
do you
is
want from
nothing
me?
else that hunts. There is nothing else in the game that hunts for 3.
Yeah, hunt for 3 is actually pretty crazy. This card's
sure.
It's probably like a 4.
A 4? You're telling me a hunt 3? If this card had hunt 2, Colin, you'd be like, this card is a 2. I'll give it a 3, and I will not give you a point more. You will step off my lot. Like,
this card's like
disrespect
a
4.
Me.
Yeah, I think it's like a 4.
Yeah, this card's fine. I've seen Anton play it against me, and
trust me, when I first played it against Colin was the moment Colin said, "Okay, this is definitely a for fun deck," and then he saw it gain a lot of XP, and he was like, "All right, it's not great. I'm not saying it's a great card, but Hunt 3 is like that's a lot of XP."
Yeah.
God.
If you you conquer a battlefield and then you hold, you automatically get your level 6.
With my 5 for 5 with no accelerator, no ready, I'm gonna play this. It's gonna attack.
At least it doesn't cost a power. At least it doesn't cost a power.
We're already in for fun decks, okay? So
all right, whatever.
Next up we got Call to Battle for 3 energy. This is a spell that says move a unit you control to a battlefield you control. Then choose an opponent. They move a unit they control to the same battlefield.
Awful. Literal absolute dog piss. 2. I want to give it a 1.
This is a 1.
So so hear me out. So you have to control a battlefield, which means you have to, because just to be clear, to activate this card, you need to control a battlefield, then you need to control a unit not at that battlefield, or can I move the unit that I already control into that battlefield?
I
you have
don't
to
think
you have to
move.
move. So yeah, you can't move to the same one. No.
I don't think so.
Okay, so
you have to have a second.
One
unit,
is controlling.
Yes.
I have to have a unit controlling a battlefield, a unit. My opponent needs to have a unit because I assumedly wouldn't activate this if they didn't, even if I could.
Yes.
No, they have to choose. So yes, they have to have a unit.
They get
It's
to
not
pick
reflexive,
the unit.
so
Yes.
they get to
They
pick
all-
the unit, and
Yes.
my unit that's already in the battlefield has to stay there. So I have to have 2 units. They have to have 1 unit. Then on top of that, that unit has to not be able to beat either of my units, because otherwise, what is the fucking point of this? And oh, by the way, I'm moving their guy into a battlefield, so I still take the charm risk of them just exploding me. And now they get both of my units if they win, and a point for no reason. Plus, to top it all off, it's not action or reaction speed. This card's a 1. This card is
Yes.
actually awful. Like this
card is for sure a 1.
This card is
I cannot believe how bad they did orange. We're not even a third of the way through, but man, have they done orange dirty. This color is just the Aurora color. That's what this color is. It's just, what bombs did you print in this color? Skip everything else.
Yeah. Just play challenge chat. Is the
exactly.
Story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Crowd Favorite for 3 energy. This is a 3 might unit with Hunt. Says spend 2 XP to buff me.
Yeah, he's, as his name may hint towards him, he certainly is not my favorite though. Like, this is awful,
It's like
awful card. Yeah.
It's gonna be 3 for me.
Maybe I was gonna say maybe a 2. Like, when are you ever playing this guy?
Yeah,
You just
3
don't
for
have
3,
the
man.
ability to play cards like this. I'm gonna give it like a 2. These cards are just not well
Sure.
designed.
You've
We
sold
already-
me. 2 it is.
This
Yeah.
card's terrible. It's a 2.
I
There's
don't
no
understand,
deck
did
that
they-
wants to spend XP and to buff him. Like, what are we doing with this? Because like the
Yes.
Do
Poppy
they
wants to
want
be
this
spending
mechanic
XP
to
draw a
fail?
card.
I have to
It's
wonder.
just- it's very
it feels
weak.
like this
It's-
mechanic was.
it's
It
very
feels like this
underpowered.
mechanic was set up to fail from the beginning. Like that. That's how I
Mhm.
feel looking at it. So
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Disposal Order for 2 energy. This is a reaction speed spell. This card's so bad. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'll keep it together, chat. I'll keep it together. Okay, for 2 energy, this
2
is a
whole
reaction.
mana.
This is a reaction speed that says choose 1, just 1.
Not both. 1.
You either get to choose up to 3 of your opponent's trashes, and their owner recycles them, or you draw a card.
Yeah. I think the fact that you're laughing at this card really does it some justice.
This is Petricide Monument territory right here. Like,
Yes, this is pretty petricide.
It has
this
some
is-
utility that
Yes,
exists
yes.
for what it's worth.
Yes,
yes.
it is the only instant speed way to interact with your opponent's discard, right? There's no
Yes.
other reaction speed way to do that. So like it
Correct.
does have that upside going for it. So if they ever messed up this game so bad that we are willing to play a 2 mana cycle 3 cards back because we're down so bad to whatever deck this is countering, then yes, I guess this card will be playable. I'm going to give this card a fucking 1. The disrespect to not have this card say do both things is insane to me. If this card cycled 3 and drew a card, it would be maybe a playable sideboard card. But instead, now it is just a disrespectfully bad spell that I cannot see any deck ever playing. Like,
Yeah,
I
it has 1 actual application, so I can't quite give it a 1 as much as I want to based on how poorly the card is designed. Like, we have cards like Salvage that destroy a gear. This is something that like your opponent has to spend mana on. And that card draws a card at action speed. This card, I guess, because it's reaction speed now is like, oh, well, I know they didn't have to spend any energy to put these cards in the graveyard, but it'd be just a little too good, I guess, if I were to recycle and draw 1. So I don't know. I'll give it like a 3 because I do know that it has
3?
actual
3.
1 use case right now, which a lot of the cards I put at 3 don't even have use cases, and I don't even expect them to see any play. This one does have 1 use case. If the Heedless Resurrection deck becomes a real thing, then you can play this in response to the Heedless, and then they just lose their guy and they don't get to revive anything. So it does have 1 application, but it is such a poorly designed
we're using
card.
bad cards to counter bad cards. I don't understand. Like this is like crazy to me. Like you just cited a card that I think we rated as a 4. So you're citing a card that I'm rating as a 1.
We haven't gotten to Chaos
We haven't
yet,
gotten
Alex.
the Heedless. That's
Wait,
the
I thought
Resurrection.
Heedless is.
That's the Bryn
Oh.
Hero. Yeah, the Bryn Hero.
You're
Bryn
right.
Hero.
You're right. You're right. I thought Heedless was the four mana guy that comes
No.
back from the grave.
No,
Never
no,
mind.
no.
No. Okay, you're right. You're right. Okay,
Yeah.
fair
So
enough.
if Bread and Hero loop ever becomes an issue, then this is at least technically an answer for it. Or if they do it with any
Okay.
other thing,
Yeah,
they try to.
it does a
Elder
few other
Rat
cute
Dragon
things
loop you.
too, right? Like if they play their fizz, they target the spell. You don't let them.
Stop.
You don't let them
No, that
play the
one's not
spell.
worth it.
Okay, no,
That one's not worth
it
it.
counters fizz.
They still get a 3
enough.
might body, and I'm having to hold
Yes,
up 2 energy
yes,
the
but-
entire game in order
but-
to just be like,
And
I
neg
got
one.
my order.
Yes.
As soon as you play that fizz, you're gonna spend 3 energy for a 3 energy spell, and I'm gonna spend 2 energy to counter it, and I don't even draw. it.
Yes,
So
yeah,
I
I
still
mean, this
neg
card
one.
is dog shit. I agree. This card is
Interesting.
absolute trash. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
this-
give it a
this
1 just
card
because I
is-
hate it, though it probably should
Ye-
be a
yep,
2. I'm giving it a 1 because I hate
No,
they made this
fuck
card.
you. This is a 1.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Gentle Gem Dragon for 8 energy. This is an 8 might unit that says when you play me or another dragon, ready up to 2 runes.
Yeah,
I
the
fuck with
Dragon
this card.
Storm card. Yeah, this is a really fun card that we actually saw one of our subs playing a deck built around. That's very cute. You can combine this with the 4-cost unit that reduces all your dragons by 2. You get a bunch of those, a bunch of these, and then you can actually like kind of pop off with Cadrigans. You can pop off with the Hunt card. That's the 2 energy draw card for each mighty unit you have, and storm through your deck to play a bunch of dragons. And well, it is a little bit of a pipe dream. It can like theoretically happen if the format's slow enough, where you just play like a million might worth of guys in base. So I think it's a really cool card. I don't think it's going to see play outside of that because it's a little bit too niche, but I'll give it like a solid 4. I mean, I think that deck was very cute. I don't think it's super competitive, but it is something that I could see a hypothetical world where that sort of strategy would work.
Alex?
I like this card. I think it's good. I do worry about cards that generate mana off things that are going to be played, like kind of like what you said. Granted, this is on an 8 mana unit, so it's probably not as scary, but like I could see like a Dragon Storm Miracle deck if they printed a few more dragons or maybe like a few cheap ones that could like Collin said, you play the guy that reduces by 2. And then you're able to like pop off with this and that. Like if you can get both of them out and you can start just like kind of storming your dragons off and then play like a Cadrigan to draw up. Maybe there's something there. I don't think it's there quite yet, but I think this card is solid. I actually like this card. It's an 8 for 8 with a relevant line of text. It even untaps for itself, which I think is huge because even when you tap out to play this off Aurora, you get your 2 back to hold something up. So I'm actually going to give this card a 6. I think this card is good. I like this card. I think it's solid.
Yeah, I'm more in like the 5 camp, but I do like this card a good bit. Like I think that it's pretty cool for the dragon theme. I think that the applications are going to be numerous with this card, and like if you can ramp into this like really early and it sticks, which I mean it's an 8, so it's like pretty hard to kill this thing, especially if you have other units back at the base. So yeah, I think this card is really good support for the dragon deck. Next up, we got Imposing Challenger, for 5. This is a 5 might unit that says when I move, you may move an enemy unit here with less might than me to a different battlefield.
What is this design that they're doing? This is like a theme now. We rated a card a 1 already, and then this is like a I don't understand this design. I don't know. I'll give it like a 2. It's a 5 for 5 vanilla, I guess. That maybe will have an effect that comes up, but man,
Every
these
once
cards
in a
are just
while,
so
yeah.
bad.
I had to read this. I squinted and read this card like 4 times when it got previewed because I was like, wait, it moves it to a different battlefield? Why would
Yeah.
that make any, like, I guess if you're like multi-stacked and you want to
that's
win the fight
literally
against-
the only case is the multi-stack.
Yeah, where you're already winning and you're already holding a battlefield, then and this guy's in base, and you can send him to the other battlefield. It'll maybe.
Yeah, I'll give it a
difference.
2. It's not quite as bad as a 5 for 5 vanilla, but I'll give it a 2. It's not quite a 1. It does do
Yeah.
something like.
Yeah,
Maybe there's some
it's-
hypothetical world where this would do something, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's very good. But yeah, like there is literally specific board states where I guess that this could do something. Like yeah, but your opponent would have to be holding with multiple units, and then you have a unit that can go to the other side and that can also not die to whatever unit you're sending over there, and then whatever unit you're sending over there is now you're leaving behind a unit weak enough that this thing can trade over. It's like so many moving parts on the board that need to be set, that need to be going on for this to actually be good. And I'm just like, why play a 5 for 5 that needs all these things to be good for it to even have a line of text? So yeah. Next up, we got Repulse. For 1 energy and a power, this is a reaction speed card that says choose a friendly unit at a battlefield, counter an enemy spell or ability that chooses it, and no other friendly unit.
Oh my god, seeing our community average right there, I'm like, people have been hurt by Rebuke. Rebuke has done terrible things to people.
It did.
Truly.
And Switcheroo. And Fighter Flight.
Finally, some good fucking food here. Like, God, I felt like whoever designed Orange this set had had a bad day, like their wife just like divorced them or something and just took it out on poor Orange. My God, it's about time they printed a good card in this color in this set. This card's solid though. Like this card is a pretty good one. And I'm glad they like limited its power where it's only exactly 1 unit. So like you can't use this to just target an entire singularity, although Unyielding does that anyways. But like it is weird that they're printing counters. I think they're getting a little too liberal with printing counters in too many different colors. That being said, this color kind of sucks, so I guess more power to it. I do think this is a really solid card. I don't like that they gave this in the Aurora color, but ideally at one point Aurora will be banned and it won't be the Aurora color. But I think this card's solid. I think this is a very good card. I think you're going to see it in a lot of sideboards, maybe even some mains, depending on the meta. I'm going to give this card a 7. I think this card is just very, very good.
Yeah, I am a little bit less happy with this card. I do not like this design where it's clearly a card where like they realized at some point they printed a few too many specific cards that were very good into Orange, and they're like, well, how do we counter this? Oh, we'll print this one specific card to counter Rebuke because Rebuke's too good, so we'll print this card so that you can have the counter for their counter. This reminds me very much so of the anti-Raigekis of old, where in Yu-Gi-Oh! There was a very broken card called Raigeki, and they printed a card that literally just says if your opponent plays Raigeki, counter it. It was almost a meme, and it feels very much so like that. That being said, it does have a little bit more utility than specifically countering a one named card, so I'll give it like a 6, but it will certainly see some play. But yeah, I do worry about this sort of design philosophy where they print things that are too good and then they're just like, oh, we'll print them an answer. So if they have this specific card in the right situation, then you win because your opponent was relying on their broken spell to win. And if not, then they win. It just creates the sort of situation where it all comes down to, do you have the card or not? And all coming down to like that one interaction point to determine who wins the game.
The Aurora sabotage problem.
Yeah, exactly the Aurora sabotage problem.
Yeah, I think Repulse is a really good sideboard card. I don't think it's gonna see main board play just because of how situational it is. It pretty much is a Rebuke answer. Like Fighter Flight's gone from the format now. Obviously in set 3 there is a lot more Rebuke type effects, but this one also only works at a battlefield, notably. So like effects like the Starcross card that we haven't talked about yet. But there's a card that like bounces a unit at the base. Or like if they're targeting you with a charm, this doesn't work because you're at the base. So like it's really specific. It only counters really specific things, but those are some of the best things that you can be doing into the big orange decks. So I mean, yeah, it's just a solid sideboard card. Give it a 6. Next up, we got Stare Down for 2 energy. This is a spell that says choose a friendly unit and a battlefield. Move all enemy units at that battlefield with less might than the chosen unit to their base and gain 1 XP.
Is that a 6? Our community gave it a 6, or we're gonna have to do some talking to. This card is terrible. No, this is just a 1. Like this card doesn't do anything.
It has some. I mean, it theoretically can win you a game. I mean, you can move an entire stack out of a battlefield if you have a big enough guy.
Yeah, if it has less. Stare Down is what I'm doing right now with this card. I had to read this text like 3 times. Why can't they word cards to be more intuitive? I hate the way they word some of these cards, but this card's like a fucking 2. This card is awful. Like
I'm giving it a 1.
Okay, I think you guys are too. You guys are. I think you guys are a little low on this.
I cannot stand the design of this card, where it is If it didn't have the gain 1 XP on it, I would maybe rate it a 2. So the fact that it's strictly better, but they put that on there makes me want to put it as a 1 because this card is clearly designed only to be the absolute last thing that you do in the
Yes,
game,
it's
right?
a
In order to win, is
gigafoff,
if you have like
right? Gigafoff.
Yeah, exactly. You have like one big unit, you play it if your opponent is like giga stacking. You send it all home and you get
Which
to conquer
they
for
don't.
free.
Yes,
Yeah, which is
it only pushes one side. You have to have the unit that's bigger. Like they have to be like max stacking. Like this is just like. Also, why does this even make sense in this color? I don't even understand like why this is in this color.
I couldn't tell you. But the fact that they put that gain 1 XP on there when this is the literal last thing that you're gonna do, like what am I gonna do with that XP? That's just gonna magically make me to level 16 and then my
I
Yi
mean,
is gonna be untargetable.
theoretically,
So
you
then
use it
it
as like
comes in.
a sorcery speed foff, and then you get some hunt off or something, right?
No, this is where it's actually worse. Is that this is true. So the EXP is the last thing that happens in the text. So it actually, if it were to level your guys up and give them extra might, it wouldn't happen till after the pushing had been done, right? Because you
Ye-
resolve cards in
Yes,
the order that they
yes.
happened in the text.
Yes.
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 So it's
exactly.
even worse. Why isn't the EXP first? At least it could make your guy bigger. Like the design is just off. Like, ugh, makes me
And
so angry.
For that reason, you get a 1 from me, dog.
Yeah,
Sorry,
actually,
Big Bird.
thinking about I'm gonna give it a 1 because the XP being at the end, like the way this is where like card text matters because, like I said, you resolve things in the order they are written on the card. That's how it works in most games. I don't know for a fact it works like this in this game, but I'm guessing. So like that one little fundamental flaw that makes this card worse is even more insulting to me. So I'm with you now, Colin. I'm giving it a 1.
Thank you.
All right.
As somebody who's played a ton of fighter flights in my day, I can tell you that having to cast it at sorcery speed on your turn is the absolute worst possible experience that you possibly could have. And fighter flight was like an unplayable card when that was all that it does because like you move a bunch of stuff home and then if that wins the game, then great. But are we really going to commit a card to our deck for this one niche scenario where we're ahead on points? So we're going to theoretically threaten lethal with our stare down. This card's in our deck for some reason. We have to be ahead on points. We're going to send everything back, and then we get to score. And then we get 1 EXP while doing all this. Woo. Because in any other situation, it's like, oh, okay, you sent all my guys back, so now they're safe in base. So I just get to crack over your guy and kill it for free on the next turn once I get to untap and use all my energy. Like, great. Thanks for spending a whole card on this. Terrible card.
I think against Giga stacking decks, this might be like a sideboard card if that's a real strategy at some point. Like it does have some use cases. I don't think it's a good card. I'd probably give it like a 2.
So if you give it anything higher,
I
than
was
a 2,
thinking
then
of
you
giving
and
it
I
a
are gonna
3
have
just to
words.
troll y'all.
I'm gonna be staring.
I was gonna give you
down.
this 3 just to troll y'all, but no, I'll give it a 2.
I would maybe give it a 2 for the art because it's got the pathetic art.
The art
when
is
it's looking
nice.
down on you like that. Yeah, it's like,
for sure. Next up, we've got Wily Newtfish for 4 energy. This is a 4 might unit. It says if you gain
2.
XP this turn, I have +1 might and ganking.
2.
It's a 4 for
it's
4.
a vanilla. It's a vanilla.
Which automatically qualifies it for 2.
It's got a line of text.
It's a vanilla. It's a 2.
Where I don't see a line of text. Like you again, this is what I like to call.
Why did this card not have
vanilla
hunt?
This is what I like to call a vanilla with sprinkles. That's what I call these cards. A vanilla with sprinkles. They're just pretty much. They might as well just taste like vanilla. Like
Yeah.
Okay, well,
yeah, 2.
I
There's
mean,
nothing to talk about.
This is a 4 for 4. I think it's better than a 2.
It doesn't even have a unit type. Make it like a frog or something. Give me hope for the future for our wily newtfish.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Like this just.
I mean, yeah, the XP support sucked. I agree. Speaking of XP support, we've got the Blood Rose for 1 energy. This is a gear that says when you play a unit, you can pay 1 energy to gain 1 XP, and you can spend 3 XP to ready a unit.
So Min played this card against me, and it was not very good. It reads much better than it actually plays because a lot of the time you have to use all of your energy on your turn. So you often will not have the extra energy to like actually gain the XP. And then like, because it has a condition, like if this was just like, you could tap this and pay 1 to gain any XP, it'd be like, okay, like at least this sits on the board. And anytime you have extra energy just lying around, you just like, yeah, gain any XP. This is like a curve filler, right? this card would be kind of okay then, but because it has a condition, you have to meet this condition, then you also have to have 1 EXP to pay. I do not think this card is very good. It does have the upside, like its best part is honestly just being a way to untap your guys when you spend EXP, which I think that makes it a little better, but I think this card is not very good. For me personally, it doesn't curve out well either. It's like a weird play. Like you're not going to play this on, maybe you could play going second because you play a 2 plus this, but even then you can't activate it. So like it's still like really awkward unless you play that random 1-drop guy. I'm going to give this card like a 3. I don't think it's very good. I'll be a little more generous. I'll give it a 4 because at least I guess it is a way to turn EXP into untaps to like haste guys. So like it does have that going for it, but its first line of text is incredibly lackluster. I'll give it a 4.
4? I like zoned out
I'm
for
gonna
a
give it a
second while you're
3.
talking about this card. This is a I am hard pressed to give this above a 1, to be quite honest with you.
Dude, I think we're getting too crazy. We're handing out ones a little too easy nowadays. Like
they're body cards. What do you want from me?
I think for me, this is in like the 3 range. It's a 3 for me.
If this isn't the lowest average color in this set, by the time we're done, I'll eat my fucking shoe. Like there's no way. Like the average for this must be below a 5. Like I want to see. We really need to look at the stats at the end.
There's a couple of bangers in this one. There's a couple.
Yeah,
of
we got a few things. Hopefully,
all right,
we'll fill it out. So the issue with this card, as we already mentioned, is that you were spending a whole card. It's not even just the effect that we were talking about.
It's a whole card.
But you are spending a whole card to then get the opportunity to spend even more mana into this card to get the opportunity to gain 1 EXP. How often do you think that you're going to be able to do this? If we're doing this twice, which is going to be over the course of however many turns, we're spending 3 energy for 2 EXP. And that's in like the right situation where like this somehow magical Christmas land sort of thing comes up. This is just absurdly bad. And then spending 3 XP to ready a unit, like that part can maybe come up where you're going to be able to do some sort of shenanigans with it, I guess. So I'll give it a 2.
Maybe it's a 1 mana like a Wallop-esque card at that point.
Yeah, if you're playing it in like your Yi deck, it gives you something you can do when you have more than 16 XP. If you somehow get to that point, when we're playing terrible cards like Blood Rose in our deck, it gets a 2 from me. It would be a 1, but Alex is complaining that I'm giving out too many of those. So
it's not that bad.
Next up, we've got Clash of. You agree to disagree?
Speaking of ones,
Next up, we got Clash of Giants for 6 energy and 2 power. This is choose 2 units. They deal damage equal to their mights to each other.
1.
A 1?
This card is awful. 2 power, not action speed. What the fuck were they thinking when they printed this? This card is awful. Okay, is it a 1? No, it's probably not a 1. It probably has more use than that. Is it like works as like a reasonable removal? But like there has to be 2 units on the board. The best thing this do is like you have 2 units. Your opponent has 2 units of equal might, and they kill each other. And even that is just like worst singularity. Like at the absolute best, this is worst singularity.
I mean, if you're having like 2 Elder Dragons eat each other, that's not worst singularity.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So in the case where 2 Elder Dragons get to eat each other, fine. But like, it's not a 1. I over exaggerated, but I would give this card like a 3. Like this is like the worst singularity imaginable. Like think about the scenarios where this card has to do to work. And like, even if 2, like you don't want to kill 2 shit units with it. Your opponent has to have 2 units and maybe 1 unit swallows the other unit, but how good is the unit that you're swallowing up? Like you're playing 6 mana to have their 6 might guy fight their 4 might guy. You spent 6 mana and 2 power to kill their 4 might unit. Like this, the stars have to align for this to work. It not being action speed is also pretty abysmal. So you can't even use this as a combat trick. Like this card sucks.
Yeah, this card is terrible. You gave this a 3, is higher than I would have, to be honest.
It's not like it still works as a removal for 6. Like it's not a total dud.
Body just doesn't have a lot of removal either.
vengeance exists, and like you have to, your opponent also, let's be real, they also just have to have two big units. If they just have like a Vial that's just sitting there chilling and a bunch of like small units, what the hell is this card gonna do? I just have the most unplayable garbage in my hand of all time. So we're maybe sideboarding this into like what, an Aurora deck, into an Aurora
Yeah.
deck matchup, in which case I would just sideboard like anything else. Because like this is just, I'll give it a 2. You get a 2 out of me. This card's unplayable, trash.
Yeah, I
Do
think
not play
it's.
this
I
card,
think
dude.
it is not a good card, but I'm going to give it a 3 because I do think there are spots where like it'll be a singularity. There are spots where it'll be better than a singularity, and there will be spots where it's far, far worse than singularity. Next, okay, this guy is the GOAT though. Next up, we got Determined Sentry for 1 energy. This is a 1 might unit that says I can't move to base.
All right, Anton, you said this guy's the GOAT. You start us off here.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it, Anton.
Okay, so hear me out. We don't have 1 energy units yet. This is a 1 energy unit. If we get a lot of 1 energy units at some point, we might be able to go double guy on turn 1. And that's really good for an aggro strategy. And that's all I got.
Okay.
Okay.
So I will just put it at that, even the negative effect aside, this guy he is notably the first one energy unit, even with his downside. In some sort of go wide aggro strategy, you could possibly, where it doesn't care about hand size, you could possibly play this. I actually am just like, without going too much in depth, I'm going to give this guy a 5 just because he's the first of his kind, and there is a strategy that does want him going second. You can always make 2 guys, and if there is like a really, really aggressive strategy that matters, that wants to play 2 guys on turn 1 consistently, this kind of fits in there. Albeit we do have better options for that already, like Manufacturer makes 2 guys on if you go second. So maybe, and it makes the 1/1 it makes also can move back to base if you hold. So, but there might be a place for this guy. I'm just going to give him a 5 right now, just because he is the only 1 cost unit, and he is unique, and he might have a place somewhere.
So this guy is, as Alex said, the first 1 cost unit of its kind, and is something that I'm glad that Riftbound is having some level of hesitation when it comes to that, as it can create very toxic situations if you're to go like double 1 drop potentially on 1 and accelerate the clock. That being said, this game is not really built in such a way that aggressive strategies like that will work in the long run. Even if you had a million 1 cost 1 might guys, as soon as your opponent plays a single 2 might guy, then they're just going to get ran over. Hyper aggressive decks like that just don't really tend to work in the style that you're just playing dudes, right? I think the only exception that we've ever seen out of that is the mono white Rek'Sai deck, and that one relies on some very specific card advantage engines in order to make it work. Whereas this card is not going to, unless we get like a specific legend in the future that really is just like another Rek'Sai that just wants to conquer at all costs, then maybe this could. I can't even say that. I'm gonna give this card, realistically, it's probably like a 2 or a 3. Unplayable garbage. This card will never see play. But I have to give it a 1 because it's a 1 cost, it's a 1 might, and its set number is 1/1/1. I would not feel correct giving it anything other than
1/1/1. Okay, that had to be played. That
has to be some play.
Right?
Yeah, it has to be. Like,
That's
I think
pretty cool.
That was good on them. So for their just cause, I too shall give this guy another 1.
Yeah, I just think, like I said, that I think 1 might units, obviously by himself right now, you can't ever rely on just like drawing 2 of this guy because he's the only one of his kind. But if we do get more of these, I could see a world where these are strong, like going turn 1, going 2 guys. Your opponent is almost always just going to be playing 1 guy. You get to get 2 points. They get to run over 1 of your guys. You get to hold for a 3rd point. Like, that is a lot of tempo very quickly. Obviously this guy can't move back to the base, so like that's what if you were to do 2 of this guy, he can't go back. He is going to die at some point. But yeah, I think that there's a world where an aggro deck can exist because of cards like this. So he's doing something unique. It's like a 4 for me. Next up, we've got Irresistible Feyfolk for 2 energy. This is a 1 might unit that says, when I move to a battlefield, you may move an enemy unit to that battlefield.
Who's making these fucking cards? This guy sucks. Why? What are they like? What is like? Okay, all jokes aside, like this is a very powerful effect to have on a 2-drop because you can actually move guys out of the other battlefield if you need to like win the game. So like it works as like a fight or flight. Like you can sack this guy to fight or flight it, but like you're never playing this guy on 2. This is a late game card. This card is awful on turn 2. I don't even know like because you can't even do like the Yi thing, right? Because if you pull them in, they're the blocker. So like if the game worked differently in Yi, I could actually see where this is really good, right? Because you go first, you play this, you move in, you pull their guy, and their guy's a 2, your guy's a 3, right? But they're wait, are you the blocker? No, you're the attacker, right? And they're the defender in that case. So like it doesn't even work there. Like
correct.
It's not even that I think this card is offensively bad. It's just offensively poorly designed for a 2-drop.
No,
like,
this card's not that bad because you can do it in a different way. Where this card's just a functional charm, right? If you play it and then you untap with it, because you hold the battlefield and then you just move into the battlefield you're already holding. You don't have to do it just on offense.
No, I understand. I get that, but like you're always going to lose this guy, and then you have to risk combat. It's not a good
charm.
2-drop.
That's
design.
what he's saying. It's charm on a body.
Yeah, it's just it's a charm on a body. Like it's still a 1-might guy that you can use. You can play it on turn 1 to like maybe score a point in other cases. So I don't think it's that bad. I mean, I was gonna give it like I'm gonna give it like a 5.
A 5 is crazy. Wow.
I think it's maybe got some utility as like, I mean, it's a charm. Like you're playing a body, you're getting a charm. Like if there's probably some broken stuff you can do with this where if you combine it with like a big tank, like I'm thinking out of my set deck or whatever, right? If I have this guy and I have a set, the tank set that's just sitting on a battlefield, and I'm just like, oh, this guy's in base, move it into my set's battlefield.
I think this guy is
your biggest guy.
Horribly designed. Like it seems like just such a. It's not even that I think he's bad. It's just like I don't understand why this is on a 2-drop. It's also not as good a charm. It can only move to the battlefield it's going to. It can't actually push a guy back.
Right.
Which, if it could do that, obviously it would be
right.
Yeah,
but it's like a charm.
If it could do that,
I like the card.
I don't know. I'm not a fan. I don't think this card's terrible. I just think it's horribly designed. In that I don't understand why this is on a 2-drop body. I think this would have been. Why do they have so many of these move effects, like these different like move effects in orange? Like I don't understand why that was their thing. This set they wanted to put all these weird move effects in this color. But anyways, I'm gonna give this card like a 4. Again, I hate the design on this as a 2-drop. I don't think it's good. I see the function. I just as a 2-drop, I think this is awful.
I think this is a pretty cool card. I actually do like that. I like the design of move effects because like that highlights one of the main things that Riftbound does differently than other card games. Like movement and battlefields are like the main thing that we're actually like that differentiate this game from other games. So I like when they highlight those mechanics and they do it in a way that's not broken, like Stellarcorn Herder. Like, I don't mind drawing these in the late game because, like, I'll just play them down and they'll get some value afterwards. And, like, these can get some really good value if I'm charming things into a battlefield with, like, a big guy that you can't beat. Or just, like, even, like, imagine I have, like, a bunch of these and I'm just posted up with, like, a Vile Maw. I could just, like, move 3 of these guys into my Vile Maw. My Vile Maw eats all your dudes that I pull in and you can't deal damage back to my little dudes. Like
that is the one place where I do think, like, if you pull that off, it's great. But this is just charm that takes a turn already. Like, it's just like a 1-might unit.
It just does something unique. That's what it does.
Yeah. I'm not a fan, but
next up we got Master Yi Tempered for 4 energy. This is a 4-might champion unit with Hunt 2, and at level 6 it has Deflect and Ganking.
Yeah, this card's like decent. I don't really know if this is gonna see play in the OG Master Yi at all over the Accelerator. Maybe in like a mid-range strategy just to always have a decent turn 2 play. But obviously it's intended for the newest Yi as your main hunter. And in that spot, I think it's good. We talk all the time about just a 4-for-4 chosen champion being one of the strongest things that you can have, as it's a guaranteed play. And this is like the thing that not only is going to get your engine flowing, but also have at least a little bit of a payoff in getting both deflect and ganking once you're at level 6, plus also getting the additional +1 might from our legend. solid card all around, but probably only in one specific strategy. Although I do think it does actually have some utility out of Kha'Zix as well, right? Because Kha'Zix has the spend 2 energy to return something home, or 2 EXP rather, sorry. So he can conquer and then come back home, making him just like a faux Lucian. That's a 4/4 instead of a 3/3. So yeah, I'll give him like a 6. As many different options as he has, all these things are extremely fair and not really going to be super warping in any way, shape, or form. But I think this is kind of the good enabler that the EXP deck actually needed.
Alex?
Yeah, I think of the EXP cards, which I've been overly critical on, this is one of the better ones. It hunts for 2. It with a cap and a hold, which it will get in the early game a lot of the time if you can defend it adequately. You're almost there pretty much. It is one of the better EXP cards. Notably, I think it is a 4/4 chosen champ for the Aurora deck, which I think they might actually opt to play this just because it gives them something to do on turn 2 if they don't have Catalyst. So I do in that regard. In that regard, I do like it a lot. And then I did talk earlier about how some of these things incidentally get played, and then they like trigger the synergy on their own. So like even though a Aurora deck plays no EXP things, this could actually just level itself up reasonably, and then you have a deflect ganking 4-might guy. I don't think it'll happen often, but I think that is like some nice, like, it's not unreasonable that it can do it on its own without the assistance of anything else within reason. So I like this card. I think a 6 is very, very reasonable of this. I do think some of that point score goes into it being another option for the chosen champ. Like maybe if there were a bunch of other Yis or like an already better Yi, I might rate this a 5. But I think being a potential upgrade on the current chosen champ Yi makes me want to give this a 6.
Yeah, I think 6 is really good for the card. Don't have too much more to add, but yeah, this is just a great card for the hunt decks. This is what you want outside of Yi. It's definitely what you want inside of Yi. As far as Aurora goes, I do think this is mostly just going to, I would imagine playing this in the sideboard, like as a one of, just like how Misfortune played the 4-drop Misfortune sometimes for like when you wanted that early game play. I think this is where I would see this if it's like into an aggressive deck, like in set 1 where we had the switchboard versus like Annie and Victor. You know, this is a unit I would have definitely wanted access to back then to just like clear something and wall off for 6. But of course, you know, the hunt is like almost never doing much. I guess eventually it'll become a deflect ganking unit if it can hold 2 turns in a row. But yeah, great card for the XP deck. Next up, we got Nidalee Cat Form for 3 energy and a power. This is a 4-might unit with Ambush. And it says, when I win a combat, draw 1.
So as someone who played this card reads very well, but it's actually not quite as impressive as it reads. And one of the biggest reasons is the power cost. Now, I do think this card is good. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of the times when you ambush this in, if you're ambushing into a guy that was already going to die, the threshold for you to ambush this and not have this also being a unit that is dying, it's like, so if you're ambushing in with your 2-might turn 1 play, right? The threshold is that you're ambushing it. You are going to trade with their turn 1 and ambushing this in because you have to be ambushing into a unit that is 3-might or less. And your unit was probably already losing the fight in that scenario. So there's very few scenarios where you can ambush this in on offense. On defense, a lot of times she's also going to die unless they're coming in with a 2 or 3-might. So the threshold to get this off with the ambush is like very tight. It's not terrible, but I think the power is truly what holds this back. Now, this effect is, we know when you win combat, you draw 1. That's an incredible effect. But I just think paying the power here is a big risk, especially considering a lot of things can go wrong with this. And it's not ideal, even playing this going second, to pay a power. And I think that truly holds this card back from its greatness. I'm going to give this card a 5. I know that seems kind of low for what it does, but I truly believe this power cost on 3 mites, as we've discussed, or on 3 costs, is hard to do, especially when they're cards that are intended to be curved out on 3, which is why cards like Nami are so great because it's optional. So you can use it in the late game if you want, but you don't have to activate it when you play it as your turn 1 or your turn 2 play. So yeah, I think this card, even having the 4 might for 3 being overstated, I actually think this card is not as good as it reads.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a solid 6 for me, I think. As Alex already mentioned, the issue with this card really is that your opponent can just put this first in any sort of damage chain, and then if it dies, then it doesn't win the combat, so you don't draw the 1. That being said, it does read very strong. Heavy Ambush is quite good. I think there are definitely a few decks that will want to play this. Maybe, again, something out of that has a bunch of tanks that Nidalee can sit behind in order to protect it. You can drag stuff in with the Irresistible Feyfolk, doing all this sort of stuff. Maybe there's a world in which that sort of situation could arise and actually work out as a strategy. So outside of that, though, just as a card, the having this on your legend that just is something that exists for the remainder of time is much stronger than having it on a card that can just die very easily in combat. So, but is also a cat. So
A cat.
there you go.
Yeah, I think it's like a 6 for me. The line of text is just really strong. And we do usually complain when these things are understated for the power, but it actually did get the extra power, which is pretty relevant. And Rengar, this like goes up to like +1 as well, and 5 is like pretty hard to trade off on in the early game. So usually this thing should be surviving in some of the decks that it's being played in, at least. Next up, we've got Nyla, Joyful Ascetic. This is a 3 energy and a power champion unit for 4 might. She has Accelerate, she has Ganking, and when I move, gain 1 XP.
Suffers from the same problem as the last card. It costs power. It just costs too much power. It costs power and then Accelerate for power. Even though it's overstated, I don't think this card is very good. I mean, yeah, Collin, you can go more in depth on this. I don't think this is very good.
Yeah, it's just way too power hungry, I think. I mean, with the Accelerate costing you even more power to like, what are we actually doing? We're getting an EXP?
1 EXP.
You're telling me Yeah. The fact that it does it on move makes it like, I'm guessing this is supposed to be a Kha'Zix card where, you move in, you win a combat, so you get your 2 XP, you move back, you get 1 more XP, and do all that sort of nonsense. But like, that's really all that we're doing. I mean, you can like ride the wind with it, even spend more power to do all this stuff. I mean, I think they just underestimate how important power costs are early. And if everyone was doing this, where they were just like playing a 3-cost 4 might guy for a power, then I think Nyla would be incredible for the Kha'Zix deck specifically. But I think people are smarter than that, and because cards like Lucian exist that are just going to do functionally the same thing without having to spend an additional power, it just makes it all the more worth to play those cards over this card, right? So it does do some stuff, I guess, technically. So maybe it's higher than a 3, but no, I'm going to give her a 3. I think this card sucks.
Alex, you didn't give a rating, by the way.
3 for me. I recognize it was Collin's turn to go first, and I forgot the order here, so I started talking. Then I was like, I'll just let Collin take it away.
Yeah, I was just kind of go.
Yeah,
it's piss. It's piss.
Yeah, I think the card's pretty bad. I don't really know, having played mostly, like I said, EXPE. I definitely have never wanted to play this card. It's really hard to justify playing any power cost cards, and like the green deer like gives you 2 XP just for being played back into your base and can still hunt for another one. This thing is most likely just going to move in for 1 most times and then die afterwards. So like at best, this is like hunt 1 that like maybe you could get some value out of sometimes and get a little bit more XP from, but like just not very good. I'd rather just like play the Gromp or anything else. Next up, we got Poppy Paragon for 5 energy. This is a 5 might unit with Deflect. And it says, when you play me, if the opponent's victory score is within, or if your opponent's score is within 3 points of the victory score, ready me and gain 3 XP.
Yeah, I guess this card's fine. It's like a 5 for 5 that doesn't actually cost power. Thank God. Finally, after all this time, what we've been asking for. Its effect, however, kind of mid. I honestly don't remember what the other Poppy legend is, so maybe this is the chosen champion that you'll play in her. But yeah, it's like fine. I don't think you're really going to play it outside of that. A 5 for 5 that enters ready is not great, but out of the Poppy deck, you get to draw a card with the 3 XP that you get if you're that far behind. But being within 3 points of the victory score, like, it's going to be very difficult for you to want to trigger that line of text because you're going to be so far behind that it is just not great. That being said, though, it's not like they have to be ahead of you on points, so it could be a situation where they're at 5 and you're at 7, and then you just play this to accelerate for the last point per game. So, not the worst card that I've read. I want to give it like 1,000,000 points because they finally printed a 5 for 5 with some lines of text that doesn't cost a power, but I'll give it a 5. It's like a fine card. 5 for 5 gets a 5 for me.
Notably, I think this is a very good chosen champion for Poppy. I think this is like what I want from a chosen champ, especially if my deck is slower moving. A guy that is resilient and that it has deflect, and a card that you can have come in ready from the champion zone. So I do really like this card, especially I've been playing against Vero's Aurora Poppy, and this card is really solid in that deck, let me tell you. So I like this card. I think this card is pretty good for as far as 5 for 5s go. I think a 5 is appropriate for this because I think we gave, what did we give Hue? Like a 6 or 7 maybe?
I think it was like a 6.
I think we gave it a 6. Yeah, and this isn't quite as good as that, but I think a 5 for this is pretty solid. Like, I think as far as 5 for 5s go, this is this is one of the better ones we've seen, as much as I hate to say that, but yeah.
Yeah, I think this could even see like play as maybe a 1 or 2 of in the Experience Yi deck, just because like 3 XP is just a ton of XP. Like we were saying, like you might sometimes want to play the Grumple. Sometimes this thing is like gonna come in and it's gonna be a readied 6 might unit, gains you 3 XP, gets you closer to hitting your level. So I think this card's good for XP. It's definitely a solid champ for Poppy. 5 is a good rating for it. Next up, we've got Arachnoid Horror for 6 energy and a power. This is a 6 might unit with Hunt 2. It says, I can be played to an occupied battlefield if an enemy unit is alone there. And friendly units can be played to an occupied battlefield if an enemy unit is alone there.
This is like a Dead Bloom at home, kind of like a mini Dead Bloom. I don't think it's quite as good. It doesn't have deflect. It does have Hunt 2 notably, which is cool. It only costs 1 power, but I'm not sure you're going to play this. And one of the main reasons actually is because most of the time I actually think the Orange Rengar is just going to be better. It does give you this line of text where your friendly units can be played to a singular occupied battlefield, which typically is how battlefields are occupied, as single by itself. So I'm not 100% sure on this one. I would have to see. My gut wants to give it a 5 because it does have Dead Bloom line of text, sort of. And it is a 6 for 6, so it's not awful. It has the upside of Hunt 2, but doesn't really benefit itself with the Hunt. I'm just going to give it a 5, I think. I don't think it's incredible, but I could see this card being a lot better than I think it is. That is one thing. I think this card could be a lot better.
I'm on the opposite side. I think this card is terrible. I was going to give this card a 2. What is this card doing? This is a 6 or 6 that costs a power that is just worse than the Rengar. Am I missing something? The Rengar costs 5 and has the same text, right? The only thing it's missing is the Hunt 2. And
Hunt 2.
Friendly units can be played. Oh, the Hunt 2. Yeah, great. That's why I'm paying an extra energy for my Rengar, is for the Hunt 2. So
it's better Rengar for the XP decks. That's basically what it is. And it's worse Rengar for everybody else.
I guess. I'll give it like a 4, I guess, because maybe out of the Yi XP deck, this is like a 7 might guy that can just Dead Bloom in a very niche situation. But like this card's so easy to play around too. If I'm expecting it, I can just like throw another chump unit up there. And like notably out of the EXP decks as well, they don't have like a Thousand Tail Watcher that just punishes me for doing a Giga Hold, right? There's nothing in their deck that's going to punish me for just stacking additional things. So like if I need to play around the Arachnoid Horror, it's so easy for me to do by just putting like an extra 2-drop in there. Granted, you could like suicide your 2-drop in to make the thing line up by killing the extra units, I guess. So that's why I give it a 4. I think this card's unplayable, but yeah.
I think for the XP decks, it's a role filler. I think it's a solid card. Like, I mean, Dead Bloom's usually munching on a single unit too. Like I've very rarely ever playing a Dead Bloom where there's more than 1 unit. So like I think that the spot's gonna come up decently enough. I think Rengar is better for like everything else that's not the XP deck, but I do think in the XP deck, probably specifically like you said XP Yi, that this card will see some play. It's like a 5 for me. The Elder Dragon for
The GOAT.
for 12 energy and 4 power. This is a 10 might unit. It says any amount of damage is enough to kill enemy units. Any amount of your damage is enough to kill enemy units. And when you play me, choose up to 1 enemy unit at each location and deal 1 to them.
Anton, I feel like this is an Aurora card. This is all you, buddy.
Sure. I mean, I can
Yeah,
talk
go for
about
it.
Elder Dragon first. Yeah. I love Elder Dragon. This is everything I wanted from an Aurora bomb, or just a 12 drop in general. Just forget Aurora. Just if compare Volibear to this card, like this card obviously costs double the power, which is a lot. Like you can't just chain this guy back to back, but like you never wanted to tap out for Volibear ever. You definitely never wanted to chain Volibears back to back and just tap out for 2 full turns. This guy though, I actually wouldn't mind tapping out for because I'm removing on average like probably about 2 cards off of my opponent's board, 2 of their best cards because I get to pick them. Obviously coming off of Aurora, this card is super insane. With like the Yi signature spell, you can like just ping everything on a whole battlefield and just wipe it. If we ever do get that blue orange legend and he or she or whoever wants to play Aurora, and they can like use this with that swipe card in mind and like deal 4 and 1 to everything and clear a whole battlefield. Like Elder Dragon just has a lot of really good interactions. I think this card is a crazy bomb. This is what I would want a 12 drop to do. This is, in my opinion, a good, well-designed 12 drop. However, I think that coming off of Aurora, this card is really pushed, really insane. I'm probably gonna give this card it's like an 8 from me. I think it's just really, really good, but like obviously it costs an insane amount of energy, and there's not a lot of decks that can actually get to 12. More often than not, you're gonna be trying to cheat this guy in. But like I do think there are a couple of decks that have a good amount of ramp, and as we get more ramp, or even in this like dragon deck where we're just like reducing dragon costs and untapping runes and stuff, that this guy's actually just playable.
Yeah, and go ahead, Colin. Sorry.
No, you can go ahead, Alex. I'll go last on this one because I may have a hot take.
I like kind of what Anton said, where I'm of the opinion that one thing that sucked in this game is everything that cost more than 8 was terrible, unplayable. They were not making cards above 8 relevant to doing what they cost, and I'm glad to see that they're finally printing cards above 8 that actually do, like, this is what a 12 drop should do. This card should come down and do exactly what it reads. My issue is that I think 12 mana units are going to be impossible to play when you're not cheating them out. I think pound for pound, no matter what they do, even when they win the game, it's so egregiously hard to get to 12 mana in most decks that it is going to be hard to justify playing these for 12 no matter what they do. Outside of literally saying you win the game, I think it's just going to be too hard to cast these most of the time. Now, all that being said, this is the absolute best card I think that could ever hope to come out of Aurora. I don't know why they printed this card knowing that they weren't going to ban Aurora. This was fucking silly. This guy is 20 out of 10 when he comes out of Aurora. Just absolutely absurd. This is the card that when people look at Aurora, people are going, wow, I better spend $200 on this fucking card because this card is absurd, especially if you're like, no, it's turn 3. I went ramp. I went mobilize, catalyst, Aurora on the play, roll this out, delete my opponent's entire board on turn 3. Good luck. What are you going to do? The game's over. I don't know that this card does anything to fix the Victor problem, which is that the Aurora deck can't really beat Victor, like decks like Victor, or it does struggle with yellow, but I mean, it's a good fucking start. Deleting half their board is probably pretty solid either way. So I think once you remove Aurora, though, I actually don't think this, unless there's another way to cheat this guy out, I actually don't think this guy will see very much play, just because I think it is very hard to have a deck that gets to 12. Aurora does it, but that's just by being like byproduct of being an Aurora deck. So I don't know that those decks would exist without Aurora. So I think this card, because of Aurora's existence, I'm going to give this card an 8 as well. But I think when Aurora doesn't exist, I think this card is like a 5 or a 6, just because it costs 12, and I think these guys, without cheating them out, are just impossible to play.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit more out of this card, as mentioned previously with the dragon deck. It can get a little bit absurd as you have the dragon to untap energy when you play it, and then you obviously have the dragon to reduce its cost. And this guy just having the static effect of all your damage is enough to kill means that you could even play like Flurry of Blades, I believe is what it's called, is a way to essentially just bullet time your opponent with the 2 extra energy that you get off the dragon, which does sound like Magical Christmas Land, but I did see it actually happen against me. If they get the right ramp and get the right curve, then it can happen in terms of hard casting. Beyond that, I am the world's biggest Aurora hater, as everyone knows. So the fact that they printed this card alongside Aurora and just decided that that's okay makes absolutely no sense to me. There should have been some sort of clause on this guy that says that you can't cheat him out if you played him anywhere from your hand, exile him or something like that other games do, because this card is genuinely just completely oppressive when cheated out. If your opponent doesn't win the game immediately, and you untap with this guy, then it's just over. Like, there's so many things that you can do with this thing to just make it so that you're always winning combats. You killed 3 guys already as soon as he came out. Like, I think, as Alex said, this is what a 12 drop should be, but this is a 12 drop that you should have to actually cast. I think while Aurora is legal, this guy will be meta warping and extremely unfun to play against. Nobody wants to get Plague Wind by a unit that gets flipped off the top, but yeah, that's mostly what I had to say about this. I'm surprised that they printed this card with Aurora existing, but yeah, like an 8's fine, I guess. It's a 10 while Aurora exists, and a 6 outside of that.
Yeah, he's like a 20. I will say, with Aurora legal, this is the single most meta-defining card in the set. I can say that with certainty. This is by far the absolute most meta-defining card that they printed in this set, and I hope there's some sort of April Fool's joke coming here, like where the ban list got posted and they're like, all right, we're not going to ban Aurora. We'll just wait and see what happens one event. Lucky for me, I will not be at that event. So that's all you guys. You guys enjoy your time with the
You'll be at one of them because you'll be at Vancouver. So
I will be enjoying.
Nope, I'm going to hope there's an I'm hoping in between that 3-week period they e-ban it. So I'm praying for that.
Technically, this deck does have a counter in set 3, so like it's not going to look as bad as it certainly is in my mind. But I think we just got to steer away from these decks that are like, oh, there's one deck out of the 40 legends that exist that specifically counter this card, so that means it's not oppressive, right? Even if it just destroys and invalidates 90% of decks, there's that one deck and that one card that kills the Elder Dragon board. So, it's everything's Gucci. Just let it ride. Like, I think that's one thing we gotta steer away from. But yeah.
Next up, we've got Kha'Zix's Evolving Hunter, a classic 5/5 and a power. Has Hunt. When I attack, you may spend 3 XP to deal damage equal to my might to an enemy unit here.
Can I give this guy a 1, or are you guys gonna yell at me?
You can do whatever you want, Collin, but 1 is kind of crazy.
Not a 1, but he's not very
He
good.
is so you're telling me that a 5 cost 5 might vanilla that costs you a power is better than a 1?
He's not a vanilla.
That's crazy.
We didn't this guy is kind of just Yasuo, the chosen
he's like
Yasuo. He's like a 3 in my mind because he does have a requirement. There's like a lot that can still go wrong with this guy. Like, I guess fight or flight's banned, so they can't react in fight or flight. But he does still say an enemy unit here. So, like, if he does get removed from the battlefield for some reason before that can resolve, he won't actually get to deal the damage. He only hunts 1, which I think, like, I don't know why this couldn't just hunt 2. He does cost a power. I'll give this guy a 3 because, again, he's just slow as hell. Like, now, granted, if you have the Rose, you can actually untap him. That is a lot of XP.
6 XP? Well, you have the Kha'Zix Legend is what you're actually doing with it. You spend the 2 XP to bring it back home. But that's still 5 XP.
Sure. I don't think this is a 1. Like, I've seen 5/5.
I agree, it's
far
not a
less
1,
than this.
but this card's butt.
Sure. I'll give you a 2. This card is terrible. I think the issue is that the Kha'Zix deck is built in such a way that you're wanting to spend your XP on other stuff because you want to either spend it on buffs or spending on bringing it home. Like, I guess having the additional utility of being able to bring it home is something, but like it's just such a costly thing in order to break into a board. I mean, maybe if this deck gets to be as aggressive as clearly they think it will, and it does become a pretty reasonable attacker on like that final turn, you're using that attack effect. But the reason why I don't like this card is that in the meantime, until it gets to that last final turn, you never really want to use that effect, and it's just like a 5-for-5 that costed you a power. That's just like prime target for any sort of removal spell of any type. I just think it's not a very well designed card. So
yeah, I mean, I do think the card's really bad. I'm more in the 3 camp, but yeah, I don't know that Kha'Zix is going to play this card. Finally, we have Rengar Trophy Hunter for 5 energy and a power. This is a 6 might unit with ambush, and it also says I can be played to a battlefield where there are enemy units, even if you don't have units there.
The Trophy Husband.
yeah,
This guy's solid. This guy is fucking awesome. Just an absolute solid monster. Even outside of Rengar, this is so for those of you that don't know the ruling, ambush is ruled so that it is both reaction and you can play me to a battlefield where you have units. So it's both of these things. So he can actually just be a reaction speed Dead Bloom, where he just comes into a battlefield that's occupied by an opponent, even if you don't have a unit there. And because of that, this guy is fucking solid for a cost 5, especially if you're playing a more reaction-oriented orange deck where like leaving 5 up isn't unreasonable. You always have this guy just looming overhead as a threat. But even then, for decks that don't go as high on their mana curve, this is Dead Bloom. Like for you, this is Dead Bloom. This is Dead Bloom with upside. Technically, it doesn't have deflect, but it does have the ambush, so it can even be played at instant, just at reaction speed if you need a little bump on the battlefield. In the Rengar deck, this is almost actually Dead Bloom because he gets the buff from your Rengar legend. Like this is 1 might away from being Dead Bloom pretty much. So I think this guy's a fucking all-star. I think this guy's great. It is probably one of the best cards in this color for this set. While not as meta-defining as the Elder Dragon, if Aurora goes, I promise you this guy will be seeing way more play than the Elder Dragon is until we have some kind of crazy Dragons deck. I'm going to give this guy an 8. I think this guy's an all-star. He's awesome. He's a great card.
No, you know what? I'm gonna believe in Rengar. Something about this. I'm gonna give him a 9. I think he might even be a little
9.
bit
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah, I think this card's crazy. So
I do think this
I will
card's
say.
crazy. I mean, this is going to be like a staple in body decks. Like, I could just see almost every body deck playing a couple copies of this guy.
Yeah,
For
like
sure.
Mid range, this card is crazy too. Because if your
card-
opponent ever
this-
taps out, you're
yeah.
like, oh, here's my Dead Bloom that blocks for 8. Like
Yes,
this
yeah.
is just
Yeah,
like
on turn,
like-
on turn 3, you could just, or turn 2, even if you're going second, you could literally
Yes,
slam this, eat a guy, and now it's blocking for 8. Like,
the fact that this
Yeah.
costs 5 is the craziest thing to me, because you could literally play this on 2. Like your opponent can go like guy tap out, and you're just like, yum, goodbye.
Yep.
Like again, like as
Yeah.
you're just like, okay, in I go. Like, God forbid they conquer that Targon's Peak, and you're just like, okay, this guy comes in, hold up 2, IV, so he's an 8. Like, good luck. What are you gonna kill him with? Like,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
this guy's a beast. Just awesome fucking card.
Yeah, I
For
think
sure.
it's an 8 for me, but I am also, it's a very, very
Yes.
positive 8. It's a very, very excellent card. It's going to be a body staple for a while.
I think our highest rated card almost every time has been the last card. It's been the 30th card because it was
The epics are
we
really
had-
good, you don't say.
Mhm.
No, but it's the
Yeah.
last epic too, because Vilemaw was our highest rated, I think, in green. What was the last red one? I actually can't remember what the last run one, but Vilemaw was our highest rated in green, and whatever the last blue one was, I think was our highest rated in blue as well. So Rengar.
Here you can see Rengar Trophy Hunter coming in at number 1, the Elder Dragon following up at number 2, and Repulse actually ended up getting number 3. Our bottom 3 was Targonian Visionary, Crowd Favorite, and Concentrate.
What's the average for this color? I actually want to know.
Do we get is there an average?
I mean,
I think
click,
there is
click
a way.
the view
View
results.
results
also.
Overview. Wait, this is like all of our stuff now. It's showing us everything.
I see. Well,
yeah, no,
There's
this
no
is
way to get an
something else.
average per color. That'd be cool if we could have that, because I would bet you this color had the lowest average for sure.
yeah.
Well,
I
let
would
us
bet
know.
any money.
Yeah. Well, let us know if you guys disagree with any of our takes in the comments below. If you guys want to see more videos like this, then please subscribe to the channel. We'll have the next part coming out really soon. We'll see you guys later. Challenger TCG is now powered by TopDeck.gg. TopDeck.gg is the tournament software you want to be using when hosting any tournament. It has instant pairings, a robust mobile app, integrated payments, and an easy-to-use interface, all for just $12 a month. You can get a free 14-day trial right now if you want to try out the software, and use promo code CHALLENGER for an additional month free of charge. If you decide you want to keep the software, use promo code CHALLENGER25 for a 25% discount off your yearly subscription plan.